Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. On this channel we aim to explore and discover together things to do with our mind, thoughts, consciousness, fear, desire, ego, pleasure, mechanical process, order, material process, and everything else that has to do with the movement of mind. We've discussed meditation, how to bring more tranquility to our lives, how to understand the relationship between our thoughts and consciousness, how to understand the relationship between our energy and energy of the nature and universe, hoping to understand more about ourselves. And instead of having somebody else to tell us why we feel a certain way and why we should feel this way or that way, we try, by knowing about our own psyche and the fragments of our psyche, try to become the mechanic of our own machine and help ourselves to find out why we think the way we do, feel the way we do, what's the reason, the roots for it, how we should look at it. Are we looking inwardly, or are we actually looking for answers from outside rather than we being the source of the solution? We're looking for a solution from outside about us and thinking that somebody else would know more about us than we could know about ourselves. So by knowing about ourselves, we hope to become more self-sufficient and more able to fine-tune ourselves as our life journey continues. Today, one of the things that I want to talk about is something that most of us have one type or another of it, and some of us have severe ones, and many of us around the world are turned to feel desperate and devastated that this particular habit interferes with our normal day-to-day life, and many people around the world have to go to their doctors and get medication for it and so on and so forth. And I want to bring your attention to the fact that I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm sharing with you and talking to you about my experiences, what I've researched in movement of mind, in understanding mind and body coordination, in understanding the relationship of our thoughts and how we turn into a certain habits, why those habits, how those habits form, what is the conditioning of mind, and my own understanding of the movement of mind that I'm sharing with you. I suggest to you always to consult with your doctor and follow their recommendations to remedy your particular challenge, health challenge. Here we discuss things that has no medical support or medical claims. So hope it would be just something for you to ponder on and consider if you want to use it in addition to whatever else that you're doing to help yourself to a more balanced state of life. So, as you know, on this channel we have over 1,500 videos and counting. And my name is Mehran, and many of you might have seen some of my videos on the YouTube channel. While we're still in the infancy and not too many people know about our channel, but we have experienced tremendous changes, life-changing effects we have had on people's lives, and we are appreciating that they express that gratitude and comments through the comments on the videos and personally to my email. That delights me, makes me feel that we are actually doing something for the world and communities around the world in general. However, today, on top of all these supports that we offer for the people around the world with the videos about movement of mind or videos about breakups and relationships. Of course, you know that you can always go on my site, mindthatseekstruth.com, and click on the availability of support, such as the books that I have on the subject of the psyche and transient thoughts and breakups and so on, and get your support from the site. But today, finally, I'm coming to, I want to talk to you about OCD. We want to talk about OCD. We want to explore it together. What is OCD? What is the process of it taking hold on us? In some of us more than the others, to the point that it severely interrupts and interferes with the quality of our lives. And while you continue taking your doctor's advice, we want to discuss what is it that we can do to help ourselves by the knowledge of how this thing takes hold in us and how it develops and what is the roots of it. Maybe that exploration could add a little bit more knowledge to what you know about what you're going through in the OCD side and help to cure yourself, help yourself to bring more balance to your life, and hopefully in addition to whatever it is that you're doing or the suggestions and the remedies and diagnosis that your doctor has prescribed. So again, these are not any medical claims. These are just discussions that perhaps it could cause you pondering. That's all. It's your choice to consider them or not. So, what is OCD? Well, OCD usually takes hold and takes forms in a bit later age in our life. Not in the infancy, not when we are very young, like 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 years old. But from the time that we kind of understand the value of things and how much we love certain things, and that there is a chance for us not to have what we love to have, that's when the OCD starts. Sometimes it starts when we love our life so much. When we're a child, we love our parents, we love our mother and father, we love everything that is going on in our little life at that age. And then we become fearful of losing it. Because with every wonderful thing that we have in life, there is an equal force of fear the other side of it. With everything that you love in your life, there's a fear of losing that what you love in your life. That fear gives you that anxiety. In order to combat that fear and remedy or bring certain kind of a security to result, bringing about that elusive psychological security, you tend to look towards some unknown powers that you muster up or conjure up, where you tend to think it will do something because you're so helpless. There is no way you can get rid of the fear of losing what you love, whether it's losing your parents, losing your home or comfort of your home, the food that you have, the fuzzy, cuddly feeling that you have at that young age. There is a fear of, what if I don't have this? Because I really love it. It's so good, it's so secure, but what if I don't have it? Then you start creating that fear, and then you start looking toward whatever else is out there, even though so far-fetched, and in your mind you create a remedy. And because we usually believe our own mind, because it's our head, something appeared in our head, it must be true, must be credible, because I'm credible. I don't lie to myself. So if it has appeared in my head, a thought, an idea, then it must be true. So if something comes to my head at that young age, which I don't know much, and says, look, you're afraid of losing your dad or your mom, and you want them to be safe, so maybe if you turn the switch on 2 times or 3 times, you might think, oh, I should do it more than once because maybe it wasn't positive enough. I should do it 2 or 3 times, so it would take all the bad omen away, and I hope that this would help. Nothing happened to my dad or to my mom. Even though it's totally irrelevant, but at that age, you won't question it as long as it's an idea that comes to your head that this might actually help because it feels like you got to do that 2 more times. So, and then it's a result of becoming superstitious because you don't have any real remedy to stop any possibility of something bad happen to your mother or father or something that you love. You become superstitious, like you try to look towards things that you don't even know they exist. Like you create, like the old times, I don't know, it was in the Egyptian pharaohs thousands of years ago, and they would create some kind of a statue in their basement or wherever, and they would worship the statue. They would ask for a better harvest from the statue. Just because they had no other way, they created some hope for themselves, and they created some motivation, and they created out of their own mind, which is limited in understanding, some kind of a deity that they would bestow upon it a more power than they themselves, who have created this stone or statue, have. And they kind of say, oh, this statue has that energy that is represented in its design of its face or look that is going to bring us better harvest. On the same kind of a principle or assumption, at a later age, it's not 1,000 years ago, it's not Egyptian, so you're conditioned differently, you're not thinking about, those things, but even though you may find a certain kind of affinity toward a piece of rock, that you give it a certain power, that, oh, this rock it's so special that if I take care of it, or if I pray to it, and it has powers that if I touch it every time I want to leave my home, it gives me luck. You create all this is for no reason, while there is a reason. The reason is fear. Fear of losing what you love and not knowing what to do not to lose what you love. You create some kind of a ritual, superstitious, some kind of a fictional belief to give you some hope and bring psychological security, bring a certain kind of a comfort that you won't be afraid, combating the fear with conjuring up some, because the fear itself is conjured up. You don't know it, but somehow in your mind knows it, so you combat it with something else that you conjure up to counter the fear of the fear. So you touch on the rock when you leave, or you turn the light on 5 times off and on, thinking that this will balance the whole equation of bad luck and good luck, and something not bad will happen to your parents or to something that you really value. And lo and behold, you do it 3 or 4 times, or you touch that rock, and nothing bad happens to your mom or to your dad. The next day and the next day. And of course, this is fantastic. That's what you want at that age. And fast forward, make it even at higher age, older age. You still will feel that the reason that what you loved wasn't harmed, or you didn't lose the condition and comforts that you cherished, and nothing bad happened is because you touched that rock. Is because you turned the lights up and down 3 times. Is because you cleaned your seat before you sit on it thoroughly with antibacterial wipe or used alcohol to clean it. Because you did that several times, and while you were doing it, nothing bad happened to your loved ones or to the things that we just talked about that you liked, then you think, there you go. That's the evidence. Maybe it was because I did that nothing bad went on. So what's the harm of me giving that hope and assuring that nothing bad goes and happens to my loved ones or what I like by just doing it every day? It doesn't harm me. I turn the light 3 times, off and on, instead of once. I touch the rock when I want to leave my home. Why not? I mean, it doesn't hurt me. But if it does work, it's a small price to pay. It's okay, not a convenient. So you kind of work into it and convince yourself. So you keep doing it. Every time you want to turn the light on, you turn it up and down 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, or touch the rock, and you want to leave home. And then you end up touching the knob 2 times. Oh, I turned it, but maybe I should turn it 1 more time, or turn it back and turn. Your feeling starts kind of having a little bit of statics. And you kind of get these feelings of, oh, now I should do it more. Because now you're on the groove of believing all these superstitional thinkings. And in the hope that these will counter any bad omen, any bad possibility. And all these bad or good or this and that and remedy possibilities is just some thought, some idea that happens to your head. And we are accustomed to think whatever we think must have credibility. Which in fact, most thoughts are stupid. There is no credibility. If you read the book that I've written on transient thoughts and me, which the ebook of it is available on my site, Mind That Seeks Truth, it's very nominal, so this is not a sales pitch really, because it's so nominal. The books themselves are expensive in print, but if it's an ebook, I've turned them into like $4 or $5 or $6, something like that. In that book, you realize that it talks about the fact that thoughts are created in your mind. It's not because you actually have legitimate reasons or scientific backgrounds or credibility for that thought. You believe it just because it's there. And we're conditioned to think that, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm not going to lie to myself. So this thought that appears in my head, and you think because it has appeared, then it must be yours. And what is yours must be correct, because you had no intention of falsehood or creating something that is not true in your own mind. So I don't want to digress. That's another story for another time. That book, you can have access to it and see it for yourself. But so eventually you convince yourself that these things that you do are the reason why nothing bad has happened to your parents or to your children or to your wife or to your husband or whatever it is that you love, and your job or your sales quotas or your business success. And you become more and more reliant on combating the fear of losing what it is that you value by this sort of behavior. Now, that can start on different notes and for different reasons when you're a child. Fear of losing our parents and the comfort that we have. As little comfort as we may have in our home when we're a child, we don't understand what is big comfort, what is little comfort. Comfort to us is enough. Whether we have $10 million in our family or we have just enough to eat. For us, that is the comfort that we look for. And that is perfect. And we want to persevere it. We want to preserve it. And we want to protect it. And for that protection, to be feeling good and comfortable and away from all the stuff that we have to deal outside, whether it's bullies, or whether it's school or homework. We come home, we just love that home because it so feels safe. And in order to keep that going, we start becoming superstition because of that, what we love, we want to hold on to it. And on different ages, there are different things that are more valuable to us because we have a better understanding or different understanding of the value of things for us at different ages. And then still we want to create that psychological security, and we end up becoming superstitious and trying to, one way or another, protect what it is that we are fearful of losing. So, while we are doing these things, these weird things, like going over a stone 3 times when we're walking outside, or when we touch a doorknob, or we touch the certain thing 10 times, or we even repeat some word a few times than just once, thinking, I gotta say that because saying it, it creates certain kind of an energy or a balance that could actually counter the possibility of something bad happening to me or someone that I love, or my work or my money or whatever it is that you're worried about, concerned about. Some of us wash our hands more than we should, like God knows how many times, because of germs. What is the reason for that? Well, you think, well, germs could cause me get cold and or some kind of a sickness, and then I would not be available to attend to the loved one that I want to attend to and be ready and available for him or her. But it's your children or your spouse or whatever else it is, or the fact that you just don't want to have to deal with some sickness. So one way or another, you're trying to remedy something that is conjured up in your mind. You clean the chair that you sit on with alcohol. You wipe your hand with alcohol a lot. You want to sit in your car and you wonder, oh, I sat on that chair in that place. How many other people have sat on it? I could be contaminated. Now I sit in my car. Now I gotta wipe my car. Now this touched that, and so on. And it goes to become a nutty professor's way of living. And becomes really annoying, exhausting. To clean this, clean that. Oh, that touched that. Now I put that there. Now this, I touched this, and this touched that. And these are all coming after that beginning stage of being afraid of losing something that we love, and we do weird things for it. And then little by little we add the inventory, the habits, more and more. Why? Because we seem to think that it was successful, that we turned the light a bunch of times or touched that rock a few times and we left our home and nothing happened to our loved ones or whatever it was that we were concerned. So why not do it more? And then we kind of establish the fact that these things work, and I'm actually combating the possibility of something bad happen, which I don't know how, what directs that, but I have figured out doing something that at least puts my mind at ease, and looks like it's working because nothing bad has happened. And that's because I've been doing these things. That's how we logically we reason with that. We say, oh, I've won, I've made, the reason my life is going okay and everything is the way I want is because I'm on the side helping it with all these little things that I do. Little weird things, to us is not weird, just brings comfort, right? And I say us because all of us at one point or another had a certain kind of an OCD of some kind, whether mild or hot, in one way or another. So we're all in it in the same, we're all in the same boat, all in it together. As depending on the level of the discomfort or the experience that you had, you can see if this applies to you or not. So we end up thinking that all this that we're doing has legitimate reason. Survival. I'm protecting myself, and I'm protecting myself for the benefit of the others that I love. These are some of the logics that we use. And then we add more weird things to it because some of it worked, so now we end up adding more things to it, to the point that it becomes, I have some of my clients that when they talk to me about OCD and their problems, they say it takes me hours, I mean hours, to leave my home to go to do something, and then when I come back home to clean, a certain ritual to clean everything, including my shoes, my hand, where I want to sit, where I did sit, change my clothes because it was from outside and contamination is coming in. We can go really involved in that. And so I try to share with my clients what are the roots of all these and how we should combat it, and then help take steps to come back to how it was when we were not entangled with these sort of behavior or thought patterns or rituals or continuous useless activities. But first, let's focus on the development of this thing. So far we have understood that many people around the world, every one of us to one degree or another, have done these things or still doing these things. And we have somehow on the way justified what we do because of its results seems to be favorable. Even though there are no evidence that if we didn't do it, something other than favorable would have happened, but because we've been doing it and nothing has gone wrong in our life, we think that it's because of what we're doing that nothing has gone wrong to our life. And we continue it because we believe now it's good, it's something to do. And somebody comes and tries to convince you that, look, even if you don't do it, nothing happens. You have a hard time to start that process and saying, okay, I will not do it. Why? Well, because while you've been busy doing all these little efforts, little things that you were doing, you became convinced that not even it's right to do, but something else was happening in there. So since it's been 28 minutes talking and I want to give you a break, we're going to talk in the second video about what has been happening along these activities, these repetitious things, the washing hands, the switch on and off, touching the rock and leaving and cleaning and this and that, so forth. What else has been happening in our psyche? So I'll talk to you the rest of it in the next chapter of this whole long chapter of OCD videos. Talk to you soon.